Howdy, I'm Keely Knutsony.
And I'm J-Ram.
For J-Ram today, part 1 is your grief signature. So what does your grief actually look and feel like, in your opinion? More on the emotional aspect.
I would say I usually tend to get kind of detached and withdraw from a lot of things that I do. Most of it comes from like a loss of motivation, and I don't feel like getting that back. So I just kind of just sit, let it go away, and usually it's gone after a few weeks or maybe a month, but that's just how I am.
Real. So, kind of tapped into this a little bit, but what are your personal pitfalls or coping mechanisms? So, do you find yourself overworking, overeating, taking risks, falling into depressive funks, like anything of those sorts?
Yeah. I think one way that a pitfall of my coping mechanism is because I kind of like detach from everything and I lose motivation. I don't do anything, and when that happens, I feel extremely tired, so I tend to sleep a lot. During that period, it's very hard for me to get any work done, and especially in college and stuff like that, it's very frustrating and annoying when you fall behind, and over time it just piles up, and it kind of just throws me even deeper into like the whole situation.
That's fair. That is a very common coping mechanism. So, who are your grief role models, if you feel you have any? So, like, how did you learn to grieve? By watching others?
I don't know if I learned it from watching others, but definitely I can see analogs with my dad. He tends to withdraw from a lot of things when he's going through some stuff. And I do see lots of similarities from him, so I would like to think that I got it from him in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, that's about it.
And the last question for part 1 is, how does your signature compare to the official stories of grief, like the 5 stages of grief and like being resilient, kind of just like overcoming it? Like, what's your signature in terms of that? Like, do you resonate with any of those things, or do you just have your own?
I definitely think the 5 stages of grief does have, it's scientific, so it does make sense, and I do tend to catch myself at different stages of that sometimes, but I don't know if it's like a linear 5-stage every single time. Sometimes it's just, I don't know, maybe I had a bad day, or maybe it's been a bad week or a bad month, but it kind of just tends to go away, and I'm not actively trying to force myself into specific stages. That's what I feel about it.
Very well. All right, moving on to the judgment of grief. Have you ever felt your grief was judged or misunderstood by people? If so, describe a time.
For sure. I think the greatest example that comes to mind is between me and my mom, because when I'm kind of like in a bad mood or whatever, as I said, I tend to withdraw from a lot of things, and my mom just takes that as laziness, and in all honesty, it is laziness, but she kind of just sees like it in a bad light and only focus on the negative of it, and so it kind of doesn't help sometimes when all she says is like harping on the negatives and how I'm being a lazy bum. But yeah, I feel misunderstood sometimes.
Interesting. Conversely, have you ever judged someone else's grief?
Maybe only briefly, for like the initial reception of it, when they bring it up, like when they feel kind of out of their usual mood or something like that. But yeah, I do understand that people go through things all the time, so it's not very hard for me to kind of change my mindset on things.
And last question, based on your personal experiences and your reflections, what do you believe it truly means to grieve properly? Is there such a thing?
As long as you're not breaking stuff and harming people, I think there's not really a wrong way to grieve. Obviously everyone's different, people have their own coping mechanisms to everything, but as long as you're not harming others, I think you're fine to do whatever you need to.
I agree. Well, thank you, J-Ram.